with the experts. Now, this is our first live stream event, and we're really excited to be with you all here today. Board Pro provide a solution to organisations that enable them to prepare for and run their board meetings more effectively with clever software, of course, with less time, and deliver more impact and value for the organisation. My name's Sean McDonald, and for the next 10 minutes or 9 minutes, we have Stephen Bowman and Robyn Henderson with us discussing our latest blog article, Are You Maximising Board Return on Attendance at Conferences? Now, Steve Bowman is Managing Director of Conscious Governance, brings a wealth and depth of experience with board reviews, strategic planning. Stephen has a wealth of executive and governance experience and has written over 14 books on governance and strategy. Robyn Henderson is the General Manager of Networking to Win and has written and contributed to over 25 books on networking, business and career development. Robyn's consulted to the not-for-profit sector for the last decade and is really passionate about creating systems and processes to enable people to create balance between career progression, honouring board commitments and enjoying regular leisure time. So without further ado, let me hand over to you, Stephen, and I'm going to just come off air for a few minutes. Over to you.
Thanks very much, and welcome everyone, and welcome Robyn to this, our very first streaming live. Now, this topic of maximising boards' return on attending at conferences. We all attend many conferences over the years, and there's usually a number of groups there that represent the boards of their organisation. So 2 or 3 or 4 people, sometimes the chair, sometimes other directors. And it's quite, it's a reasonable expense for the organisation fit. What are your 2 top tips that you've come across, both as chair of your board and someone who's been to many of these conferences? 2 top tips for how the organisation and the board can get the most out of it.
Great question, Steve. First one has a couple of parts. Got to be clear on why you're going, what you're trying to achieve, and how you're going to do that. So why, what, and how. That I think that's really important before you even propose that you, as an individual or the board, attend. And the second one is avoid false economy. False economy is when you might be flying from another city to a central location, and the treasurer says, oh, okay, well, look, we can fly in on the day. It starts at 9 o'clock, the taxi from the airport, or there's a train to go from the airport, and they narrow it down to the minutes, not realizing, of course, that there's a million reasons why flights are delayed in the morning or don't fly at all. So false economy, go in the afternoon before, be rested, arrive at the conference, around the registration time, and you've got an opportunity to network, gather your thoughts, select where you're going to go, or you and the other board members. Ideally, you don't all go to the one, so that you're spreading your time and spreading the knowledge that you can get. So they'd be the 2 top ones: why, what, how, and false economy.
So they're at the conference. What advice do you have that you find that directors can actually bring back really high level value to the board from their experience and what they've done at the conference?
So the key thing, Steve, is that they capture what they're hearing in some way. A lot of speakers today and organisations are very generous with giving you the link to their PowerPoint or whatever, but that doesn't really or doesn't necessarily give you what's the key point. Yes, I can read these slides. What's the key point that you got that's relevant to us? So at the start of it, it's almost like a rules of engagement. We're going here. We're top of mind. We've spent 10,000, 20,000 for the group of us to be here. So we want to be sure that we take away what's relevant to us. So getting them I'm a hard copy, make a note. Some people use their phones, some people use iPads. Whatever system is fine, as long as they put the name of the session, the name of the person, any websites that might have been referred to, and the key point relevant to your own board. And then capturing that information, whether it's the chair or the self-appointed, I'll report this back to the board, that before the conference is over, you actually spend time, and it might be the last afternoon tea, or you stick around for 15 minutes at the end, but you're capturing what are the key points that we captured. And I did it recently with the board, and we captured it in about 15 minutes. And then I chose to collate it, took everyone's notes, said, great, I'll collate it. And then we presented it at the next board meeting so that we could say, yeah, we did spend this amount of money, but here's the information that we got. We also found out that so-and-so's pulling out of WA, this person's been promoted to this. So it wasn't just gossip, it was what's impacting our industry and profession. And that was invaluable because it wasn't stuff we'd read in the press releases. It was just on the ground. Oh, did you know I'm next quarter I'm starting at such and such. So they were key people that were in our network that we needed to know they were going out of our network, who was coming in, and how could we stay connected. So that was really important.
One of the other great tips that I've seen directors use, and I've certainly used it when I've been chair of my boards, is to ask the directors to always put their hand up and ask a question of the presenter.
Yes.
And the best question that you could possibly ask is, well, that was really interesting. Thank you for that. What do you see as the top 2 strategic issues in this area that we need to be aware of? And then you can
that's a good
compile,
question. Yes.
you can compile those as well too.
Yes. And what I'd add to that, Steve, would be that I would say, oh, my name's Robyn Henderson. I'm chair of this board. And my question is, so that the
Much
whole
better.
room knows who you are, where you're from. And those are fabulous questions. And whether you then, I've found when I've done that people come up after either they're interested in the board you're on, what you've asked, or, oh, I saw you taking note. Did you collate all those? So it's a great opportunity for networking and gathering information. I think they're the 2 main things that you get from attending conferences.
And what do you suggest would be the 2 top tips for boards to make sure that when someone or some people have come back from a conference, that they are actually providing something really useful to the board? What sort of questions could the board be asking to actually tease that out?
Well, I would put as an agenda item the whenever the next board meeting is after the event that they've attended, what was the report on board attendance. So it would be, what did you hear? What's relevant to us? What do we? Is there a critical situation that we need to address in the next 6 to 12 months? So we hear the information. Sometimes it's good to hear, oh, look, compared to everyone else, we're pretty ahead of the game, or, we're lagging here, but we need to step up there, or this person's moving out of that area, we could expand. So those critical things, but everyone must be accountable, and there's no, oh, I'm taking the afternoon off and going shopping. We're adults, it's costly. Not only are we giving up our time, we're actually, the board's paying for it, and we owe it to our members or our stakeholders to be accountable. I think that's the key. How many conferences have you been to, Steve, where the afternoon, the after lunch, there's like half the number, and I get so annoyed because I think that's not fair to whoever paid either your time or your attendance at this event.
One of the things that I've seen work very well too is similar to what you were talking there, but when someone or a group of people come back from a conference, they do a short 1-page summary of what it might be. But then there's a separate page which has maybe 2 sentences on it. And there's something like, here are the 2 strategic issues worthy of board discussion.
Yeah, very good.
To help keep them really focused.
Narrow it down. Yeah, narrow it down. Yes.
Yeah.
And it's good to look back on. We had an interesting exercise with the board that I'm on in the Northern Territory, and we looked at notes that we took 3 years ago, and we'd actually implemented more than 50% of the ideas that we'd heard. And one was having that induction day, a full day once the new board's in, that you actually, I think a Board Pro have another name for it, but it's the day that you invest really planning your strategy, what's going to be happening in the next 12 months. So that was a takeaway that we took a couple of years ago, and it's been invaluable.
So just to finish this off and summarize everything, Robyn, what are the 2 things that you found make such a big difference in the ability of the board to get a return on attendance at the conference?
I think definitely being clear on what conferences, why we're going, what conferences are appropriate. It may have a board focus. It may be that we're represented somewhere. It may be that our board members need to be at that for a whole stack of different reasons. Might be the people that are attending. You're going for the speakers, but you're also going for the audience. They're the people that you're networking with. So I think once the board is clear on that, then ensuring that if someone is half-hearted about going, just say you don't have to, because you want committed people to go. It's not about let's take the whole board just because let's take the whole board. If there's, half the board don't want to go, don't go. We'll save money on that. The ones who do go are committed.
Perfect. Okay. Over to you, Sean.
Welcome back, Sean.
Thank you very much. So that's our conversation for today, everybody. Thank you, Stephen and Robyn, for your great commentary and discussion. It was great to have you along today. Certainly opened my eyes to the benefits of setting structure and goal setting when it comes to attending conferences. So we look forward to seeing you at our next Governance Made Easy conversation, I should say, with experts. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Sean.